Have you ever felt like running away from your emotions? The overwhelming wave of sadness, anger, or even uncertainty. We've all been there, trying to escape from feelings that feel like they might swallow us whole. But here's the thing. Emotions are natural. They are part of being human. So why do we run from them? Why do we resist feeling? Often, we run because we fear being consumed by them, or perhaps because we've been taught to suppress what we feel. But let me ask you this. What if facing your emotions, instead of running from them, could bring you peace? What if they're not as dangerous as you've been led to believe? Emotions are not something to fear. They're not some unpredictable force that will take over and ruin our lives. In fact, they are often our greatest teachers, guiding us toward healing and self-awareness. But society has taught us to push them down, to bottle them up, and to keep going like nothing's wrong. We don't want to appear weak, right? So we tell ourselves we're fine, when really we're carrying around this emotional weight. And let's be honest, it's exhausting. So why do we keep running? Could it be because we've never been shown how to sit with our emotions, to really feel them and let them pass? The truth is, emotions don't control us unless we let them. If we stop running from them, we might just discover that they're not the enemy after all. What if I told you that by facing your feelings, by allowing yourself to truly feel them, you could free yourself from their grip? Let's explore this idea together. We fear emotions because we think they'll overwhelm us. It's like standing at the edge of a deep pool, hesitant to jump in because we're not sure we'll survive the dive. That fear of being consumed by what we're feeling holds us back. We think that if we allow ourselves to really feel, it'll take over and we won't be able to find our way out. But here's the truth. Emotions are like waves. They come, they crash, and then they recede. They never last forever, but if you don't let them move through you, they'll stay stuck, lingering and piling up, causing more pain than if you simply let them pass. When you're scared of your emotions, you're scared of your own power. You're scared that if you allow yourself to feel, you'll lose control. But what if, instead of seeing emotions as something to fear, you saw them as an invitation to understand yourself better? Every emotion you feel is a clue, a piece of the puzzle that can show you what's going on inside. For example, when you feel anger, it's often a sign that something you care about is being threatened. When you feel sadness, it's a reminder that you've lost something, or that there's a deeper need for healing. If we take the time to listen to what our emotions are telling us, we're more likely to heal, rather than run. The fear of our feelings comes from the unknown, but the reality is that the more we avoid them, the more they have control over us. It's time to break that cycle. The next time you feel fear or discomfort rising, instead of running, try leaning in. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? How can I grow from this experience? The courage to feel is the courage to reclaim your power. When we avoid our emotions, we're not just running away from a temporary discomfort. We're creating emotional baggage, things we carry with us without even realizing it. Imagine for a moment that you're trying to fit everything you own into an already full suitcase. You stuff more and more things in, pushing and pressing, thinking that if you just try harder, it'll fit. But eventually, the suitcase bursts open, and everything spills out. The weight you've been carrying can't be ignored anymore. This is exactly what happens when we suppress our feelings. We push them down, shove them into the corners of our minds, thinking we're protecting ourselves. But eventually, the weight of unresolved emotions catches up to us. It might show up as stress, anxiety, exhaustion, or even physical health problems. The longer we avoid facing them, the harder it becomes to handle. That sadness, anger, or fear isn't going anywhere. It just keeps growing, and the more we try to ignore it, the more overwhelming it becomes. But here's the thing. You don't have to live with this emotional baggage. You don't have to keep carrying it around. The truth is, the more you avoid, the heavier it gets. You may think you're protecting yourself by not facing your emotions, but you're only making things harder in the long run. Every time you push your feelings away, they don't disappear. They just grow stronger, and they demand to be dealt with later, usually in ways you don't expect. So ask yourself, is it worth continuing to avoid them, or is it time to face what's been hidden for so long? Now imagine what would happen if, instead of running from your emotions, You embraced them. What if you stopped fighting every wave of sadness, anger, or fear, and instead you allowed yourself to feel fully? I know it sounds uncomfortable because feeling our emotions, especially the painful ones, can be overwhelming. But what if, by embracing your emotions, you found freedom instead of defeat? What if you discovered that these feelings don't need to control you? They're simply part of your journey. Embracing your emotions means allowing yourself to be human. When you feel sadness, instead of telling yourself you should just get over it, give yourself permission to mourn, to cry, to be vulnerable. When you feel angry, instead of stuffing it down or lashing out, acknowledge that anger and explore what's behind it. Is it about feeling misunderstood, disrespected, or hurt? When you allow yourself to feel fully, you stop being a prisoner to your emotions, and instead, you learn from them. You get to know yourself on a deeper level. Emotions are not something to fear or push away. They are a natural part of being alive. In fact, by embracing them, you open the door to self-awareness, healing, and growth. Think about it. When you ignore your feelings, they don't go away. But when you choose to embrace them, they lose their power over you. You become more in tune with yourself and more capable of dealing with life's challenges. This doesn't mean everything becomes easier, but it does mean that you start gaining control over how you respond to what life throws your way. So, the next time you feel a wave of emotion coming, instead of retreating, pause and say, I'm willing to feel this. I'm willing to understand this. In doing so, you give yourself the freedom to heal and grow. You are not your emotions, but you are the one who can choose how to navigate them. And in that choice lies your power. Facing your emotions head-on is one of the most healing things you can do for yourself. It's like walking through a storm with your head held high instead of hiding from the rain. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's challenging. But the healing that happens on the other side is worth it. Think about it this way. When you confront your emotions, you give them the space to move through you. You're not resisting. You're not fighting. You're simply allowing them to exist, acknowledging them as they come and go. Every emotion you feel is a step toward healing. Emotions are like waves, and just as the tide ebbs and flows, so do our feelings. If you resist the waves, they grow stronger, pushing you back every time you try to move forward. But when you allow them to pass through you, you move with them, learning, growing, and gaining strength. It's only by truly facing what we feel that we can begin to let go of the past hurts, the disappointments, and the fear. Healing doesn't mean that the pain goes away instantly, but it means you stop allowing it to control your life. When you sit with your emotions, you understand them better. And in doing so, you allow yourself to heal. Sometimes that might mean crying it out, writing it down, or even talking it through with someone you trust. But most importantly, it means giving yourself permission to feel. The more you face your feelings, the less power they have over you. Instead of getting stuck in them, you'll learn how to navigate them with grace and awareness. And this is where true healing begins, when you no longer see your emotions as something to escape, but as something to understand. When you face your feelings, you move towards peace, not because the emotions themselves disappear, but because you've learned to live with them without letting them rule you. Have you ever tried to escape your feelings by distracting yourself? Maybe you turned to food, work, social media, or just stayed busy with anything to avoid being alone with your emotions. In the moment, it might feel like a quick fix, a relief from the weight of everything you're feeling. But here's the truth. That relief is temporary. The emotions don't vanish. They just get buried deeper inside, waiting to resurface later, often at the most inconvenient time. This is the illusion of quick fixes. We think that by distracting ourselves or avoiding our feelings, we're somehow protecting ourselves, that we're preventing the pain from getting worse. But in reality, we're only postponing the inevitable. The more we avoid, the more our emotions pile up. Like a pressure cooker that's left on the stove too long, eventually something has to give. And when those suppressed emotions finally explode, they often come out in ways we don't expect. Maybe as anger, anxiety, or even physical symptoms like fatigue or headaches. The truth is, avoidance doesn't work. It only makes things worse in the long run. Every time we push our feelings down, we give them more power. we give them control over us, letting them fester and grow until they're harder to deal with. Instead of running, we need to learn how to face our emotions, to look at them and ask, what am I really feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What do I need in this moment? When we avoid our emotions, we miss the opportunity to understand ourselves on a deeper level. We miss the chance to grow, to heal, and to learn how to navigate life's challenges in a healthier way. So the next time you feel the urge to run or distract yourself, ask yourself, is this really helping, or is it just making things harder? The truth is, running never works. It only keeps us stuck. True strength isn't about hiding from our emotions or pretending that we don't feel pain, sadness, or fear. It's about having the courage to face them, to allow ourselves to feel deeply, and to understand that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's an act of immense strength. You see, when you allow yourself to truly feel, you open the door to healing. You give yourself the space to be human, to experience the full range of emotions without shame or guilt. And that, my friend, is where the real power lies. Vulnerability is scary. It feels like exposing parts of yourself that you've hidden for so long, parts that you might not want others to see. But the truth is, those parts of you, the ones you're afraid to show, are often the ones that need the most attention, love, and healing. It's in facing those uncomfortable emotions, those moments of fear or sadness, that we find our greatest strength. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you give yourself permission to heal, to learn, and to grow in ways you never imagined. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by your emotions, instead of resisting, try leaning in. Acknowledge what you're feeling, let yourself experience it fully, and ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? How can I grow from this moment? By doing this, you embrace the courage to face your emotions, and in doing so, you open the door to true emotional freedom. Remember, the courage to feel is the courage to heal. It's not about being perfect or having it all together. It's about being brave enough to be real with yourself, to be vulnerable, and to trust that you can handle whatever comes your way. Emotions don't define you. They empower you to understand who you really are and what you truly need. So, the next time emotions rise within you, remember, you are strong enough to feel, and in that feeling, you will find your true strength. So, I want to leave you with a question to think about. What is one emotion you've been avoiding, and how would it feel to embrace it instead of running from it? Drop a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so we can continue exploring these important conversations together. Remember, healing begins when we stop running and start feeling. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.